What happened on day 2
of F1 testing? Tommy, what's one word to sum up your feelings after day 2 of testing?
Intriguing.
Ooh, that's a good word. Why?
Well, should we get into it?
Oh, okay then. Fine. First question comes in from @TommyP1. Did Ferrari fire the wrong driver? Well, look, I'm wearing Williams merch if you're watching on YouTube, so I am full Carlos Sainz stan now, apparently. Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even clock that it was Sainz fastest. I thought you were literally just talking about the fact that Hamilton was faster than Leclerc. But no, Sainz, of course, I mean, they were quicker than everybody, according to the testing day 2, which apparently fastest times mean, well, they do mean nothing. I just want to clarify. Day 2 of testing doesn't mean anything. I don't think Carlos Sainz has made one of the best moves in Formula 1 history and gone to a championship-winning team, Williams, in 2025.
Ironically, I wouldn't judge the order because if I did, my driver didn't even turn up, so he's washed and finished. But yeah, a great job from Carlos Sainz, topped day 2 this time last year in a Ferrari. And, look, it is a bit of a headline run. Do I think Sainz is going to be the fastest driver come the first race? Absolutely not. But it's an impressive feat nonetheless, and it's going to be great confidence for Williams, who I think quite rightly will have a lot of confidence going into the season with this brilliant lineup, and it's going to be exciting.
Now, the commentary team, Karun Chandok in particular, was essentially frothing over the lap times that Lando Norris was putting down in his race run. He was on a step softer tyre, I believe. I think Charles Leclerc, for example, was doing it on the C1s. Lando Norris on the C2s, and it's worth mentioning that there is a bigger gap this year between the C1 and the C2 in terms of pace, and then the C2 and C3 slightly closer together. So it means that there is a slightly bigger step, whether that's 1 second a lap, which is what essentially Charles Leclerc was slower than Lando. I'm going to say it's at least 3 seconds. So
that's biggest flop territory, that is,
serious copium being injected right now. But that was probably, if I was to choose one thing where I would highlight that is the fact that the lap times that Lando was putting down on his race run looked very tasty.
I completely agree. I think the biggest takeaway from the whole day is that McLaren look mighty. And am I surprised one bit? No. I think there's a reason they're the favourites going in. I also think they will continue to be the favourites and the fastest throughout the year, in my opinion, just because they've got nothing to lose. They've got a great car to build on, and maybe they're not going to be so inclined to jump straight into the next season's regulations because they have an amazing opportunity to win both championships. So yeah, McLaren looking mightily impressive.
Whilst we're on the subject of McLaren, I'm going to tie in this question from P1 Patreon member Sophie. McLaren championship off? Now, if you look at the testing times, sure, Lando Norris 14th, Oscar Piastri 1 place above him. However, when you saw Lando's run in the afternoon, the amount of cancelled laps that guy did, where he was maybe 3-4 tenths down through the middle sector on what was quite clearly reasonably worn tyres, you knew that there was much more in the locker than what 14th place suggests. So that is why you have to listen to this podcast, because we give you all the deep dive information, okay? If you look at it on the face of it, yes, you'd be worried as a McLaren fan, but I can tell you right now, it was the one key takeaway, was just how quick they looked.
McLaren are looking very, very good for sure. The car is looking very dialed in, and they'll be incredibly confident going into that first race, which is what they need to do, because McLaren have always been that team in the last few years that have such a poor start to the year, and they can't afford to do that again if they're going to want to win the championship. So yeah, looking very good for McLaren indeed, I'd say.
At Late to the Grave, surely a Sainz podium isn't looking as far-fetched anymore now. I think that what this has done for me has instilled a bit more confidence that Carlos Sainz is going to hit the ground running and he's going to be there from race 1. There could definitely be some, you could be quite forgiving in the senses of if Carlos was taking a little bit of time to get used to the Williams team compared to what Ferrari is like. But I think this today would suggest, okay, he's not going to be the fastest, but he is showing, despite having, I think, a spin at one point, confidence in the car. Alex Albon was in the commentary box today, and I found it really interesting to hear. Of course, they say good things about the teammate. They say good things about the team and stuff like that, and they're very well PR trained. But the fact that Alex said, yeah, Carlos is adapted to the car already, it feels like. So I think that's really important for Carlos and Williams. I think Williams have got a great opportunity to finish 5th in the Constructors this year with these two drivers pushing themselves.
I could absolutely see Williams this year, and particularly Carlos Sainz, doing a Pierre Gasly, what he did at the end of the season, where he's popping in occasional kind of like a P5 in qualifying and getting a great result where with a 6th or 7th place and just racking up points in the championship. Podium is a massive stretch, but if he can get completely dialed in, and we know how much Carlos can have those performances. We saw it at Ferrari where he is just from the get-go just absolutely on top form and can deliver an amazing weekend. They could score big points and have a really good year, Williams. So yeah, it's very exciting for Williams.
Okay, next question from Ravenko YT. Should Ferrari and Red Bull be concerned about McLaren? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes, probably. I'm concerned.
Concerned.
Yeah, as a Ferrari fan, I think that it's hard to tell. It is, of course, you can roll that out on a bingo card for testing. It's not going to be flat out McLaren are going to win every race. But Red Bull had problems today as well with Liam Lawson and having some, I think it was some to do with the water pump or something on the car.
Least number of laps they did today.
Least number of laps as well. They're actually the 9th best team in terms of mileage so far in the first 2 days with 223 laps. This is kind again, we will probably change our opinion tomorrow when Max Verstappen is clear by half a second. It was Liam Lawson in the car who's of course trying to get up to speed with everything. But yes, I think the whole theme of this podcast is if you want to be a glory supporter, buy your McLaren merch now.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely am concerned with Red Bull's pace and how that car's looking. It's looking a right handful. It's not like it was last year, or they've kind of found a complete fix and they're back to being dominant again. It just looks kind of there or thereabouts. And I think the most fascinating thing is everyone you speak to, and maybe this is McLaren sandbagging, but everyone you speak to seems to think that those top 4 are just so close, and it could literally come down to like just car setup in practices that are going to decide who's going to be quickest. And that is the beauty of an end of a regulation where everyone's kind of hit that peak of what you can get out of this regulation, and it just does come down to driver skill and getting the setup right, and that's going to be good. Yeah,
if we can get 24 qualifyings with them all being 2 tenths apart, my goodness gracious me. Sign exactly. Any contract, I am there. Let's go to the next question. P1 Patreon member DGH11. With Alpine actually looking up to the pace as opposed to last year, does that increase or decrease the likelihood of Doohan keeping his seat? Leave him alone, for God's sake. Why are we constantly talking about him losing his seat? Like, Alpine could and should say, well, Doohan is signed for the year. That is what we're going to give him. And the reason why we've spoken about it so much... Sorry?
Depending on how he does, of course.
Well, yeah, obviously. But the fact that they haven't even done that to go, well, as long as Jack Doohan performs, he's going to keep his seat. Like, they haven't even said that.
No.
So that's obviously why people are coming in with the questions and why we've spoken about it. But at the same time, nothing's going to change between now and round 1. I am convinced now that Jack Doohan will see round 1 of the season. And then we go from there. I think it will literally be a race-by-race basis. So let's see. I think that with them being quicker, I think the quicker they are, the more likely Doohan will lose his seat quicker, because they'll want to get Colapinto in quicker to then celebrate him.
That's interesting because I feel like the quicker they are, almost like the more embarrassing it would be if Doohan is kind of there or thereabouts with Gasly. If he,
Sorry, no, I was talking more about the car performance, not Doohan's performance here. So if the Alpine is quick and Gasly is showing it's quick, but Doohan is 3-4 tenths behind Gasly, they're going to make the move quicker than if they're at the back of the field. Gasly's still outperforming by 3 or 4 tenths. Of course,
yeah. But it would be interesting, wouldn't it? If it's funny how if Doohan. If the Alpine was rubbish and they were finishing...
My mother's calling me. We need to get her insight. Hi, Mum. I know I was supposed to ring you back yesterday. Really massive apologies. We're actually live on the podcast right now. So we've just... Let me put you on loudspeaker. So day 2 of testing has just ended. Carlos Sainz fastest ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. What did you make of the session and overall the prospects for the season in 2025?
Well, A, I haven't watched it.
Fake fan.
Okay, what about B?
And B, I kind of go, and I might be wrong on this, but because Hamilton has moved over to Ferrari, I wonder whether he will perform quite well.
Oh, okay. So question marks over Lewis Hamilton. So who have you got down finally, before I let you go, and I will call you back shortly after this podcast. Who have you got down for Drivers' World Champion? Hello?
Maybe, yeah, I'm thinking.
Don't worry, Mum.
I'm thinking very slowly. I might actually say Lewis Hamilton.
Sorry, you just questioned whether he'll perform this year, and then you said Lewis Hamilton's going to win the World Championship.
I think he could. In the right car, I think he could.
And is he in the right car?
Wow, savage.
I think he is.
So you know who my allegiances are towards?
Yes, I do.
Who would that be, Mum?
Well, maybe Charles will do better than him.
That's what I want to hear. Okay.
I think, maybe Charles will actually clip him at the post.
The check is in the post. Thank you so much, Mum, and just say goodbye to the P1 fam.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, that was very, very abrupt. Okay, bye, Mum. Love you. Switch in a bit. Bye. Wow.
Superb. Wow.
That is fantastic insight. So not only has she slandered Hamilton by saying that he might not perform at Ferrari, but has said that he'll win the World Championship.
She actually said he's going to pip him at the post as well, so we're going to get like an Abu Dhabi 2021 between Leclerc and she said Hamilton.
Charles would win, but that was just pressure from me. Let's be real. She believes Lewis Hamilton, 8-time champion of the world at the end of this year. Anyway, sorry, Tommy, we were talking about Alpine.
We were. What I was saying was, if Alpine are kind of rubbish and they're like 14th and 15th and Doohan's like 3 tenths off and he's finishing 15th, it almost looks less embarrassing for them to put a Colapinto in. Whereas if they are really quick and Gasly's finishing 6th and Doohan's a few tenths off, but he's like 7th or 8th, I think a lot of people will go, oh, that's really, really harsh. And I think they'll get a lot of sort of bad sort of publicity and press if they do put Colapinto in my opinion.
I hope for his sake he manages to beat that all. Okay, moving on. There was, again, bizarre moments where Bahrain lived up to its name and it was raining again. But this time we actually saw the intermediate tyres. They weren't really working, but we saw them because 2 teams actually brought some kind of wet tyre. So we had that, which actually affected a decent chunk of running, didn't it, today, where the track was either quite damp or at least cold and slippery. So it did take a little while to ramp back up again by the end of the day.
What's really interesting is if it had rained, and I know we're saying this is a big if, but it has been raining. Can you imagine if it rained for these like 2 of the 3 days and they only got 1 day? Because with the power cut, of course, they had the luxury of being able to we'll give them an extra hour, but if it rains, it rains. What can you do? So, yeah, it dried out.
You would be salivating, wouldn't you?
I would. I'd be like, here we go, no testing. We have no idea what's happening going into the new season. Straight from F1 75, straight to the free practice one. Sign me up.
Oh, yes. Jack Whitehall would have had as much testing as most of the drivers, which would have been really great. Next question from P1 Pitch. Remember, Abu Dhabi 2021 Survivor. Should testing remain at Sakir or move to a different venue? Look, there's plenty of changes going on in Formula One. We don't need to move testing as well. I know that this question is layered with, well, if you just peel that back, there's entertainment. Yeah, let's get
and
it
I think
around.
as well, I thought it was quite interesting when they were talking about that venue, though, and how the reason they did the testing at Barcelona is that when you look at the kind of corners and circuit abrasion and all these kind of statistics, Barcelona's basically like slap bang in the middle of everything, so it's like the perfect all-rounder, whereas they were kind of saying that like Bahrain isn't, which I thought was quite an interesting point, that maybe it's a good thing, because then it could completely change when they go to a different track.
There's not really any high-speed corners at Bahrain, apart from that sort of the little kink after the first sector split. You have that sort of left, right, left. Apart from that, you can't really test that sort of high-speed side of the cars. So look, I'm also fine with that. If we can, if teams haven't tested a certain level of it, we as fans just want complete.
Get them at Bahrain short so they learn nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Bahrain sure needs to come back full stop, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't think it needs to change to a different venue necessarily. Of course, to help the teams, I'm sure they might be leaning towards something, but Bahrain is where we're going to stay, I would imagine, for the foreseeable. And that pretty much sums up day 2 of testing. Tommy, how would you summarise it with your finale thoughts? My
final thoughts are, I'm really tempted to ring my mum and ask who she thinks is going to win the Drivers' Championship. Should we get a mum predictions podcast? Sure. I mean, look, if you want to do that, that's great. Let's do that right now. See if she answers. This would be really awkward if she doesn't answer. I know, it really would. How dare she not pick up the phone to Sir Tom Bellingham? She's terrible at picking up the phone as well, and she's going to listen to this. Oh, she's answered. Hello? Hi, Mum. You're live on the P1 podcast. Please do not swear. What? I just need one prediction from you. Who is going to win the World Championship this year? We've already had Matt's. Yeah, no, Matt's mum's already made her prediction. I'm not going to tell you who she's gone for, but Matt's, and we need yours.
Okay, my prediction is pressure. Charles Leclerc.
Outrageous. Let's go. I can't believe it. I always thought there were better Bellinghams than you. Sold out by my own mother. Right, bye, Mum. Bye. Wow. Oh, my God. Outrageous. Can't believe it. I'm in the mud. You are so in the mud. Well, look, let us enjoy this moment. That backfired. Because it'll be the only time I am looking forward to that happening probably this year. Okay, brilliant. Well, that is it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll see you very soon tomorrow. In fact, for day 3, we'll be doing maybe the last couple of hours watching along on YouTube and on Twitch as well. So look forward to that. Come and join us to see the final flurry of laps and to see who will finish testing fastest. All right, take care. Thank you to Tommy's mum as well and to my mum for both saying Charles Leclerc winning the world title. Goodbye.